Welcome, FamilyAffaires.com contributor Dr. Dan Gottlieb. Hi, Dr. Dan. Welcome back.
It's good to be back.
It's always great to talk with you. Dr. Dan, recently you did a TEDx talk, which we talked about in one of our previous videos. You spoke about being lovable. But I was very surprised that when I emailed you and asked you how the talk went, you told me that you had some performance anxiety. You didn't?
Not some.
A lot. Okay. Well, you know, that got us thinking that we should talk about performance anxiety, because performance anxiety comes out in many ways for many different people. You were sharing with me that you gave the talk at a university, and many students raised their hands and said that they had performance anxieties over taking tests.
Yep.
People have performance anxieties over their jobs.
Right. Athletes. Sexual performance anxiety. Takes all sorts of manifestations. Children were afraid to raise their hand in school. All sorts of manifestations.
So how would one deal with, and how did you deal with your performance anxiety the moments before you needed to go on stage?
Massive amounts of street drugs. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I found that, you know, because of my meditation practice, or just because of my mind, that I almost always observe my mind, my thoughts, rather than get lost in them. So I thought it was just fascinating. I mean, I knew what was going on. I knew it was performance anxiety. I knew why. I could feel it in my body and where. When I was up in the middle of the night, not necessarily thinking about the TED Talk, I knew what was going on. I felt my heart rate. It was really interesting. And I was aware in my body of every time I practiced, it diminished a bit more. And it began giving way from fear to faith, and just trusting again that there's something inside that'll come out. Trusting that I've got something in there that comes out. It's usually good.
I want to ask you first about, you know, the side effects. You'd said the increased heart rate. I think some people get sweaty palms. I know I get dry mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And those are really all just triggers that our body is letting us know we're feeling anxious.
Right. Increased heart rate. Look, when we encounter a new thing, a new performance, our DNA has us being anxious. We're supposed to be wary, explore all possibilities, consider this and consider that. You know, we're supposed to be anxious when trying to do things. So the question is, when is the anxiety adaptive and when is it destructive? Mm-hmm. I suffered with my anxiety, but I'm glad I had it. You know, it helped me focus. And I actually memorized stuff. First time in years I was able
to help relieve the anxiety that you were feeling.
No, I had to.
Oh, you had to memorize.
18 minutes with no teleprompter and a 68-year-old brain in front of a camera. Talk about a high wire act. So I memorized, and it was, in hindsight, it was fun. In hindsight.
So what would someone do? Because many people have anxiety. Let's say you have anxiety of speaking in public. Many people sometimes can't move beyond the anxiety to get them to the point where they'll actually speak in public. So what are some of the things that people can do to kind of manage the anxiety?
There's several things you can do. Several people, you know, one of the tips you found online was to think about yourself. Mm-hmm. And I would suggest the opposite. Think about your audience.
Okay.
And what they want and why you're there, and what you could give them to make them happy, make them thoughtful or reflective or more informed. That it's not about you, it's about the audience. What can you do for them? Now, that's for public speaking, but it's not good for kids.
Right, let's say a kid is taking a test.
We had a show on this very recently, and we had a sports psychologist.
Your radio show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my radio show. We had a sports psychologist, and we had a child psychologist on, and some of these kids suffer terribly.
Was that Dr.
with this
Selznick?
anxiety. Oh, that's right.
Dr. Selznick is a contributor of ours.
Right.
Yes.
He was great, by the way.
Good.
And some of these kids suffer terribly, and they are in pressure cookers from, depending on the age of the kids, the school, their family, and the larger culture. And we focus, as grown-ups, on the wrong thing. We're looking for an outcome. We're looking for perfection. But in what? Is it really about the grades? Is it really about the tests? I mean, schools are supposed to be enjoyable for kids, and schools are supposed to teach kids how to think, not how to memorize. You can get all that stuff online these days,
Sure.
It's God, Google will give you the information, but Google's not going to tell you how to think, how to learn about yourself, how to learn about the world and your relationship to it. So schools are at fault, and parents too. We've got to get a better perspective for these kids. And if the kids get a bad grade, okay, you got a bad grade.
So would you say it's actually the parents that are causing the anxiety in the children for the performance?
No, I would never dare say it's one-on-one. I think everybody contributes.
Okay.
The peers, parents, schools, and genetics. We can't minimize that, because anxious kids, come from anxious parents.
Sure.
And, then before you know it, anxiety's in the driver's seat.
Okay.
Best way to deal with performance anxiety? Stress. Look, I have overcome my performance anxiety by and large by having the rich experience of failing over and over and over again. So I'm not afraid of failure.
Right.
I've got lots of experience with it.
And I think at the crux of it, people are afraid of failure, which causes much of the anxiety.
Enjoy the adventure.
And enjoy the experience, because we all learn from every experience, whether we succeed or whether we fail. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.